Hi everybody, so we're here to do the review for section 6.2. So let's get started. Alright, so first let's review some notation that's important for this section. So that would be this slide over here. Alright, so the first bullet point says that notation right there is for the number of elements in the set A. Right, so n of A or B means the number of elements in A or B, or the number of elements in the union of A and B, and that's equal to the number of elements of A plus the number of elements of B minus the number of elements in the intersection, right? And we talked about why that is. We said in class today that if you look at the number of elements in the set A, and then you look at the number of elements in the set B. Alright, so let's start counting. So we count the elements that are in here. That's the number of elements in A, however many there are in here. And then if we go ahead and count the number of elements in the set B, so those are the elements in here. And hopefully it's really clear to see that those elements in A intersect B, meaning those elements in here, have been counted twice, right? So in order to count accurately, so that we only count each element once, we have to make sure that we subtract the number of elements in A intersect B to make sure we're not counting the overlap. Okay, so now with this in mind, let's go look at an example. So that will be over here. All right, so let's delete some of this stuff. Okay, so here's our example. And on the quiz, you can expect something similar to this. So if you can understand this example, you should be set. All right, so we're looking at a survey of 100 coffee drinkers, right? So our universal set is a set of these 100 coffee drinkers who were surveyed. All right, so, and then we have the sets A and B, which are subsets of U, right? So the set A is a set of the people who say they take sugar. The set B is a subset of people who say they take cream. And we know that there are 70 of those who take sugar, 60 who take cream, and 50 who take both. Now, given this information, we want to answer questions 1 through 4. So let's go. Alright, so I'll come down here at the bottom and I'll draw my picture. I always find it helpful to draw the Venn diagram, so picture is very important. Go here. Alright, so that's the set U. We'll have A and B. Okay, so A and B subsets of U. There you go. Alright, so what I always do and what I find the most helpful is whenever you're dealing with counting the elements of sets, it's always best to always start with what all the sets have in common. So in this case, we're looking for the coffee drinkers who take both cream and sugar, and that's 50 of them. So that's where I want to start. So I want to come here and say, all right, so those 50 people, they go right in the middle because those are right. So A is a set of people who take sugar, B is a set of people who take cream, and then A intersect B there is a set of people who take sugar and cream, and that's 50 of them. Okay, now I go to the set A. Alright, so 70 people take sugar, so that means that there are 70 people in the set A. I already have 50 in the middle, which means all that remains out here is 20 people. And then I do the same thing for B. These are the number, so we're looking for the number of people who take cream, and we know that there are 50 of them. Sorry, there are 60 of them. And 50 of those 60 are already in the intersection, so what's left over? Well, that's 10 out here. Right, so there we have it. And then if we were to add up all those numbers, you get 20 plus 50 plus 10, that's 80. But we know that the universal set contains 100 people. So we know that 20 people are missing. So 20 people are out here. Okay, great. So now we've accounted for all 100 people surveyed. Now let's answer the questions. All right, so question 1. How many people take at least one of cream or sugar? At least means that maybe they take cream, maybe they take sugar, maybe they take both, right? So really we're looking for the number in A or B, right? So at least means A or B. Now we can use that formula, right? That says that this would be equal to the number of people in the set A, so the number of people who take sugar, plus the number of people who take cream, and then minus the number of people who take both, so A intersect B. So if we were to use that formula, then, well, we would get number of people in the set A, well, we know that's 70. Number of people in the set B, that's 60. And then minus the number of people who take both, that's 50. Right? And then, right, so what would you get? You'd get 80. But then if you're using the Venn diagram in the first place, you'd say, oh, number of people in A or B, well, A or B is this over here, right? So if that's A or B, all you have to do is just add up the numbers. You just add up 20, 50, and 10, right? This is assuming that you've done this correctly initially, but there you go. That's still 80. So that's another way to do that. All right, so that answers question 1. So now we'll go to question 2, and I erased that 10 by mistake, so I'll fix that. All right. Okay, so let's see, there are 10 people here. All right, number 2. All right, how many people take exactly one of cream or sugar? So exactly one of the two mean either it's only cream or it's only sugar, right? So the way you want to represent that is we're looking for the number of people who, and then sometimes it helps to write it out. So only cream or only sugar. And then maybe I'll put parentheses around only cream and only sugar like that. Okay, so now using the actual sets A and B, how do we write this? So this is the number of people who, alright, so only cream means we only want the set B, which means we want B and not A, right? So you say B and not A, and not A is represented by the complement of A. Okay, so that's the first part. So that takes care of the only cream part. And then or, right, we know that's union. All right, so only sugar, so that means we want only things in A, meaning A and not B. So like that. Okay, so at this point, I mean, a few things you can do. But again, because we've already set up the Venn diagram, in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Alright, so we're thinking of things only in A or things only in B. Alright, so that means, so that's this first part right here, B intersect A complement. So these are things in B and not in A, so only in B. So that means that's things out here, right? These are things that are only in B, not in A. Next, what are things in A and not B? Those are the ones that are out here. Right, so when we're thinking of, only cream or only sugar, it will be one of those two cases, right? So the number of elements in those two parts, well, you would just take 20 plus 10, and that's it. So say 20 plus 10 is equal to 30. So, right, so there are 30 people who only chose the one option of cream or sugar, and not both. Okay, so that answers question number 2. So now let's go to Number 3. Alright, so number 3, how many people take only sugar? So we've already answered that actually in the last question. So only sugar means we're looking for people who belong to the set A and not B, right? So remember that just leaves us with this green part over here, right? So number 3, let me write it down, is the number of, right? So I'm gonna say only sugar. Well, which is equal to the number of, well, only sugar means A and not B. And we know that's equal to 20. Okay, and then finally, number 4. Alright, so number 4, how many people take neither sugar nor cream? Alright, so here it's always a matter of the wording. Alright, so neither sugar nor cream. Alright, so that means that we're looking for the number of people who do not take sugar. Well, how do we say that? We said A complement and the number of people who do not take cream. So hopefully that makes sense, right? So here means not sugar. And then here, that's not cream, right? Because that's what neither means, right? Neither means not one and not the other, right? So if we're using De Morgan's laws, which is what I'm about to use here next, another way of writing this would be to say, well, this is the number of, right, A complement intersect B complement is the same thing as A union B, then the whole thing complements. So we're trying to find the complement of A or B and then count the number of elements in that set. Alright, so we come over here and we say, alright, so A or B, we know what that looks like. What is the complement of A or B? Well, it's everything in U, but not in A or B, which is everything that lies outside these two Venn diagrams over here. So you come here, that will be everything there. And then you count the number of elements there. Well, there are 20 of them, right? It's those 20 people who didn't choose one of the two options. So then you'd say, all right, so the number of people who do not take sugar or cream is equal to 20. So that's the idea. And that's really all there is to it. And if you get this, then you should be able to do the 6.2 part on the quiz. It's as straightforward as this. There are more complicated problems on web assign, but you can always ask me about those later. This is really all you need to know. So I will stop right here.